BlackUSA.News Morning Show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all my people out there in internet land. This is William Honolulu, and I am the host of the Black USA.News Morning Show. I am so happy to be here today. You know how I keep telling you guys, I know dope people. I don't even think y'all believe me. Y'all gonna meet another one of my dope friends today. We'll talk about her in a little bit. But as always, on Tuesday, January the 11th, 2022, I want to give a big shout out to the super producer, Crazy Horse Morgan, who always holds me down. You're going to meet Meshia Sutton today in this show, and we're going to talk about her life as an educator, not just here, but internationally. Additionally, we're going to talk about how she stays active in the community and how that's had an impact on the people that she serves. Yesterday was a really special episode for me because it was an opportunity to share about my parenting. I evolved as a parent, and in some cases, ended up having two amazing boys in spite of me. It was vulnerable. I felt vulnerable, and I'm grateful to all of you guys for listening and the comments that I received and whatever. So I really appreciate you guys. So that was awesome. Last night, I don't know if you all caught the show, the Robert Report last night on BlackUSA.News. Came on 7 o'clock on Monday. 8 o'clock on Monday. He had a great show talking to Sean Armstrong about how does one prepare for an audition. There's a lot of people who are looking to entertainment, and now that the entertainment industry has been revolutionized by like straight to what do you call them? Straight to cable or straight to Netflix and those types of productions and stuff like that. There are more opportunities for Black people to get involved in media and to be on screen. It's wonderful, and I personally thought it was a really good opportunity to really dig into that. I had never really thought about it that way before. I don't do much acting, so I was like, oh wow, didn't even consider that. So it was a great, great, great show. So if you can, go ahead and check that out. You know what we gotta do? We gotta talk about our sponsors, the people that make this make it work. So Edible Arrangements, of course, in Govins and Randallstown, and they also have a location in Pittsburgh. So check them out. We appreciate their support. Also, Murphy and Falcone Law Firm. Judge Billy Murphy has been a great supporter, not just of the Black community in Baltimore, but nationally. And not as a judge and also as a lawyer, has really held organizations and institutions to account for their role and what they do in the Black community. So, we appreciate stuff like that. So again, big shout out to our sponsors. Let's see. Oh, tomorrow's show. Tomorrow is going to be awesome. We're going to have an opportunity to talk to another dope person I know, Miss Ashley Tate of Crowned by Ashley. Ashley has an amazing story. She not only was a victim of human trafficking and sexual abuse, she survived it and has dedicated the rest of her life to giving back. She has written shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Dang. Now I'm gonna get mad because I cursed again. And I try to tell him, like, I don't even be mean. I don't mean no harm. Words just come out my mouth sometimes, and I don't know what to do with them. So, but she was not only a victim of human trafficking, abuse, homelessness. She's experienced a lot of loss and in the foster care system. But her first three books, I'm sorry, we had a technical difficulty. We were switching over. So I don't know what's going on. Computers, I like them, and when they work, it's wonderful, and when they don't, sometimes it's weird. So, but we're here. Like I was, and it's one of those things is like, I'm wondering, like, is the world trying to get in the way of me telling y'all about Ashley? But if it is, it's not going to be successful, because guess what? Y'all gonna meet all of her tomorrow. Ha ha! We know what is it? The devil is a liar. Okay. Oh, let's see. Oh, let's see what else I want to tell you before we jump in. Oh, we got to let you know what else is happening. The Baltimore City branch of the NAACP is hosting a grant writing training next Monday. Yours truly will be the instructor. You'll receive videos and digital tools to help you organize and understand how to put together a good grant for your organization or for your project. We also have an opportunity during that session to really dig deep into some of the specific issues that you may be having. So make sure you visit www.grindinggang.com so you can go ahead and get your grant learning up. Let's see. Also, speaking of the grindinggang.com, we want to help you take your business to the next level. We have free memberships, and it comes with free access to service, our knowledge library, and monthly events. This is our opportunity to really invest back in the Black community. A lot of times they talk about like how much money you contributed in the Black community, but like when we talked to Sharif Small, we recognize and we talked about how some of the investment that we can make in the Black community is not trying to take all the money out of the Black community. And so I think that's a really, really great opportunity for us to invest in people, in our people. Whew. This is the part of the show I like, when I get to introduce y'all to my dope friends. See, she ain't know I was going to do this. I pulled together some stuff about her. Okay. So what you need to understand about Meshia is that Meshia is engaged and active in a lot of different areas. This is just like I pulled some stuff from her Facebook page and other places just to give you a sense of how she manages around. Um, you know, one of the cool things about Meshia, like I said before, isn't just that she took her commitment to working with people and investing in the Black community in Baltimore, where she's local to. She went to Ghana. She's been going across the country. When she was with the Urban League, she was in St. Louis, New Orleans, New York, all over the place, just making sure that she was out there representing Baltimore and investing in the community and letting people know that it can be better. She's one of those people that, when there's something that needs to be done, you call her. And now here's the thing. If she tells you no, it's a no. Like, I don't even know why you're going to keep asking her again. But if she tells you she's on board, you will never have a stronger ally or somebody to have your back. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm bringing to you Meshia Sutton. Hey, Meshia. I think you're muted. I'm sorry. Here you go. Whoop.
Morning. How is
There we
everyone?
go.
Too?
Doing pretty well. Doing pretty well. Thank you for joining us today. Um, Now, I know I can sit here and talk about you and your background and all the stuff you've done for a little while, but I'm not going to do that because I get to talk all the time here. I want you to tell the people about you.
Really? I was enjoying listening to you. I was like, yes,
All
surely
right,
I'd
so
like to.
I apologize. I forgot. We're not just chilling. This is an interview. I apologize. So, Meshia, tell us about your work as a professional educator. That sounds
So
professional, doesn't it?
my work as a professional educator. So I will tell you, I had one of these stories where uh, I grew up in a house of educators. My mother and my father were educators, and my mother was always take an education course. Go ahead, just take one, just say you have it. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to be an educator. Absolutely not. I'm sorry, my head's moving. My neck's doing
Yeah.
that thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing that.
I'm sorry.
Got
This is
to.
Black US. I'm sorry. This is Black USA News. You better bring all your Black girl here. Don't leave
I
none of it on
know,
the table. It's here.
I know. And so I got into corporate America doing in some food service management. And it
Hmm.
wasn't bad, but the hours were long and I was like, I don't see myself retiring from this. And said, thought about my mother's voice and was like, let me try a course or two. Um, and from a course or two has led into a career that I'm still in 22, 23 years later. Um, and so it's funny. Yeah, I realize that there are a couple different types of educators. There are those people
Mhm.
who are like, I'm in it for the kids. I love the kids, and it's just a passion. Um, and I am one that is true. I like the kids,
Mhm.
but I see the need of being able to prepare them for that future. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
job is to present to them a person that I don't want them to model after me, but they can at least see the progress
It's
and the progression.
options. Yeah.
They can see what that looks like. And so
Mhm.
my desire, my passion comes off a little bit different, I think, than some educators. I'll tell you, I like the kids. I enjoy what I do, but I think that I'm pretty good at what I do, and
Mhm.
it's really about being able to share that, and so that the kids have someone that they can see that looks like them, doesn't look like them,
Mhm.
um, but can be as a model going forward. And it doesn't mean it's perfect,
Right.
but that's how I got to education.
By accident, huh?
It was on purpose by accident, because it wasn't, even after I took the classes, it was like, okay. It's like, well, they get the summers off. Okay, let me see how this is. And then got in there. It was like, oh, this might kind of be a natural fit. And then it was like,
Uh-huh.
okay. So one thing led to another, led to another. And that's how I got into the education piece of my life. So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay. So as you have been an educator for 22, 23 years, you didn't just stop your engagement. You didn't just stop your engagement with being an educator. I show up for work, I do work, and then I come home, and then the rest of this is my time. I've known you for what, hell, almost all of them 20 some years. And you have always, that's how we met, doing volunteer
Yeah.
work in the community. So what got you into the volunteer work? Because with a nice cushy educator job, summers off. Well, let me not call it cushy because that ain't real. But a stable, let's say stable, a stable educator's job. You get summers off. You spend most of your money, paying for stuff for your kids, but separately. You didn't have to do anything else. You could have just like, look, I'm an educator and da da da. But you always do something else. Why?
Um, I think it's because of that recognizing to that I'm blessed and it would be only right for me to share
Mm,
that. Um,
mhm, mhm,
I think that I recognize my position in life.
mhm.
Um, and I'm not above anybody, I'm not below anybody, but I need to share what I have. Think people shared with me.
Okay.
Um, and so it is only right that I pay it forward. And so, and a lot of things that happen in my life happen by coincidence. I won't say by
Mhm,
accident, but by coincidence. And so I ended up going to an event that was given by the Young Professionals of the Urban League years ago. And
mhm.
so from going to the
Shout
event
out,
and
shout out to
they
GBLA.
found
Shout out to GBLA. That was fam,
yeah,
fam, fam, champ, fam.
yeah, always, always. But from going to the event, then I was like, oh, well, let me see who's sponsoring the event. And then it was like, oh, they have meetings. Let me go to a meeting. And then from going to a meeting, that led to almost 10 years of being active with them. And so that was a point of giving back. And so I recognize some people, feel like they have to be the leader, have to be in charge and
Right.
lead the march. And I'm really good with just being there. I'm really good with being able to
Don't,
support and get in where I
don't
fit in.
stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's
No,
not
no,
that you
no.
good. No, no, no. Wait, because it's not because I've seen it. Because it's not that you good. You prefer not to be the leader. You're like, oh no, who wants to be in charge? You're like, no. Who want? Hey, I think Keisha will do it because Keisha's good at it. I love following Keisha. Keisha, Stacy should do this too. Oh my God, Stacy's wonderful at this. Don't. But I appreciate the fact that you're comfortable there. It's like you know what you want to do. You know how it's best for you to engage, and you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Now, that's another part I want to talk to because we're going to talk about your authorship, Grace Goes to Ghana, and the symbolism book and stuff like that. But one of the things that I think uh, you're a very cerebral person. Like even your description about your engagement at work was more cerebral. You have identified that you have technical competence in this place. you understand the talented content, and that you have been poured into, and now it's your turn to pour back in. And so like all of those things. But one of the things that has been most impressive to me over like 2 decades with you has been your ability to set and maintain boundaries. I got to be honest. There've been times where I was caving under the, actually, there was one time in particular. We won't go into the details. Okay, we won't go into the details because again, I tell y'all all the time, I'm not going to keep it 100 with you. Keep it 85 because 15% ain't for you. So this 15% is part of that. Okay. So I remember one time, and everybody was like, "Oh, let's do something," and I was like, this, in my mind, I'm like, this seemed a little sketchy, just a little bit sketchy. But I mean, everybody is cool with it, so maybe it's me. And you were like, oh no, we're not doing that. Well, I don't know what y'all gonna do. I'm gonna tell you what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna do this, this, and that because. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do it either because it doesn't even make sense. And Meshia, right? But like, but it wasn't just in that circumstance. You consistently set boundaries, and in my engagement with my clients and other people, I realized that a lot of times in the Black community, setting those types of boundaries are very challenging. So what in you when you set a boundary? How do you stick to it? Like, how do you not just go like, you know what, I just want to, or do you and we just don't see it?
That's a good question. I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think I have a very high sense of what I perceive to be my safety. And it doesn't mean I don't have fun. It doesn't mean I don't have, I'm not a thrill seeker, but it's within my level. And
fun.
so I can quickly, I can quickly recognize and be like, that might be here, but my level was here. I'm good with saying no. I got an area of, that safety margins right here. But if it's past that,
yeah. And if I remember correctly, that story was it was above my safety margin, and that was near the edge of mine, and so it was going to be problematic. But I was like, okay, I mean, maybe.
Right. But I got to the point years ago where I realized, you have you ever been in class and the teachers would always say, go ahead and ask the question because somebody else is thinking the same thing. Mm-hmm. I realized that was true. And more importantly, I didn't care if it wasn't. And so I was going to be the one.
Say that again. Say that again.
I was going to ask the question. I was going to make the comment. And sometimes I say, I might be the only one, but this is what I'm thinking. Or right. I can't be the only one, and this is what I'm thinking. Sometimes you can read the faces and be like, somebody wants somebody to say something. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. So a lot of it just came in being secure, and where my boundaries are, and being like, okay, call me tomorrow and let me know how that worked out. I can't wait to hear the story.
You are real. I love the fact, like, I learned stuff from you. You drive everywhere you go. And at first I was like, oh, she didn't catch a ride. It's like, oh yeah, but Meshia's going to leave when Meshia's ready to leave. And then I was like, yeah. And I was like, let's take this to another level. People don't even ride with me. No, thank you. Oh, I got to make a bunch of stops. So whatever. But I realized that for me, when I saw you do that, and like the control it gave you, you don't have to, oh, I'm not ready to leave yet. Or I'm not. And oh, Lord. And I remember when Lyft first came, you was like, oh, you could ride with me, but you could lift back. If you're not ready to go when I'm ready to go. But I got to be honest. One of the things that has always been refreshing for you is that you have been consistent. Or with me, you have been consistent with your risk assessment, and it's really important, I've found in my life, to have people who are like what do you call lighthouses on the shore, because these waters is rough out here. You don't even know where you sit out. The moon don't show for one night. You don't know where you are. You sitting there like, am I near Costa Rica or Baltimore? I've just been drifting for a couple of days. But when you see somebody who serves as that light, you're like, okay, all right. So at least Meshia's there. So I might not be in my mental health place too far from shore. But if I can't see her, it's like, oh, I might need to go back that way. I know she's at least that way, and I might be too far.
Lights on.
But it really goes back to like, who's in your tribe, like who are the people who are supporting you. And I remember us talking about big shout out to David Miller when David Miller was talking about going over to Ghana, and you were like, yeah, I'm going to go, and I was like, but why though? Like, there's enough kids in Baltimore here. And one of the things you told me was like, yeah, but the kids in Ghana need help too. It's like, and what's more, I think you mentioned that they really are looking forward to it. Like they want it. So how did you tell? Well, let's tell everybody, how did you get that opportunity to go to Ghana, and what was that like?
So, as you said, shout out to my brother by another mother, David Miller. He'd been telling me for a while about going to Ghana, just kind of in passing. Yeah, I go to Ghana. Like he would say, he goes to Ghana with his organization. They do this, that, and the third. They go to a village. They, um, bring supplies. They
Mm-hmm.
do supports for the teaching staff there. And I was like, okay. And then, he would tell me again. And me being me, he was like, okay, well, the next time you go, let me know. And the next time he went, he was like, yeah, so sis, the deposit is due in 3 weeks.
That's David Miller right there. That is David Miller.
And I can connect you to the contact person, tell them you know me, and then we'll go on the call for the meeting. And I was like, now I've talked, every time he has said something, I've been like, let me know. And I would be dead wrong if with him letting me know. Then I'm like, oh no, next time.
Next, let me know.
I was like,
The next, let me know. Yeah.
I was like, I had no reason not to. My passport was up to date. I could afford it. And I was like, why not? And so it was really from just a simple invitation like that I ended up going that first time. And after that went back 3 more times. Um, and I'm actually scheduled to go again this summer.
Wow.
But um, it's been a great experience. And the way it was set up is we would do a little bit of everything. So we do some sightseeing,
Mm-hmm.
but then we would take stuff and support the village. We've done teacher training for the
Mm-hmm.
village. We've done summer camps for the kids at the village. Part of the organization, they built a library, so I went and saw that
Wow.
was coming. Um, and so it's just been a great opportunity
Mm-hmm.
and it's not even about giving back. It's really about
Mm-hmm.
more connecting. I think I get as much out of the
Mm-hmm.
experience as everybody, as they do from the little bit of things that we take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the interactions there, I've met people I still stay in contact with to this day. Um, and so it's making some friends, but it's making connections. And the one thing I find personally about the experience that I enjoy is that it helps to keep me grounded and helps to
Mm.
keep me centered. Because it's easy to get caught up in oh, I'm bored, let me go buy this. Oh, this broke, let me throw this away. Let me do this and be wasteful and not really put into perspective the things that you have and the luxuries that you have. And the experiences that you have. And so I like to go because it helps me to reset because I'm seeing people that have, I don't want to say less or more, but have different, but are making
Mm-hmm.
it happen, that are
Right.
working day to day, they are living. Their conditions may not look the same as mine, but I'm not going there to be the American looking down on the poor Africans
Let
and
me help.
here's
Let me
my
come
money.
save you people.
It's not about saving. It's
Right.
about me connecting and them connecting. Um, and so I go with that mindset. I just happen to be able to come and visit. I just happen to be able to say, here's some things I can share with you. Um, but I'm not going to as a savior. I'm not going as well, look at me, and I'm this,
How
that's not the
wonderful I am. Oh, I help you people so much. I am so wonderful. They should do a movie about me.
they should. And then the starring role, and it would be perfect. And like no,
Oh, honey, that's mighty white of you.
you know, it, it's about it. It really is on a different level. It's for me. Um,
You you talked about
and,
that connecting. So you've said that a couple of times. And in the
mhm.
show, we talk about community engagement, and everybody that has come on has talked about that way of engaging. So it's not just stuff that works locally in Black communities here. It is like when you go to these communities, I want to learn about you. Tell me what you need. How can we partner? As opposed to come let me selfie you and tell everybody how great I am. And so I can feel good about me. And I think that's the difference in the genuineness of the relationship.
And it is. It is. And so, and it was funny because the first time I went, when I came back, People, we are so uh we are so used to the images that we see on TV, the falsehoods that are projected. And so everybody, not everybody, people are like, so what did you see? Were there animals and
Right, right.
the lions? I was like, I went on a safari. I was like, was in a city. I was like, do you see these folks that walk on the street? Like, what are you talking about? But I knew where that was coming from. Um, because we have been taught
Mm-hmm.
through this
Mm-hmm.
microcosm of media and projections and by people who don't tell don't write our story and they're telling our story wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. um and the other thing is too, because the way we teach um about history, the way we teach about things, people are like, so how was Africa? I was like, wait a minute, I went to one place. I don't know how Africa is. I can tell you how Ghana is. And I only went to a couple places in Ghana. So I can't even tell you about all of Ghana. Like, you got to break it down. I can't represent an entire continent from my travel to one place. Um, but the scope of it, the conversation, the time, I was like, no, I've been to a place in Africa. I have not been to all of Africa. And there's a difference. Um, but again, it comes from those questions, I know, come from the miseducation that is often
Absolutely.
given. And so
But
this,
let me
Mhm.
throw something in here. You're not unused to that. Because I remember when we used to go do conferences and volunteer work nationally, when people found out we were from Baltimore, it's like, yo, have you ever been shot at? Have you ever like, did you need to carry a gun? Like, it's like, yo, like we are literally more than the wire and the harbor. Like it is actually a lot more than the wire and the harbor. And guess what? And that I think part of it that confuses people is that a lot of these stories are based on elements of real life. But if you take
Mhm,
everybody else's, the editing room for, because most of the time people don't realize what you see from other people is their highlight reel. What you see from other people is their trailers. You are can, unfortunately, people make movies out of Baltimore and Africa's and LA and Detroit's and Flint's. They make movies out of our editing room floor. The stuff we try to leave on and create our own trailers. Like, no, no, no. Let's look at that. It's like, but
mhm,
we have so many other things. Like, no, I get it, but we find it interesting to look at your background, the less nice parts about you. And guess what? We're willing to pay you a lot of money to do it because
mhm,
it manifests and continues this lack of information, this lack of education, this cultural knowledge gap. And you identified that when you went to Ghana. And then you said, because I love it, you were like, well, I'm not just going to sit here and let people be ignorant. I'm going to do something different. And then you wrote Grace Goes to Ghana. So tell them about Grace Goes to Ghana.
So you know what, and that's exactly what happened. So the first time I went to Ghana, a
Hmm.
lot of the people were writers. They were writers. They were published writers. A few people were becoming published writers, and so everybody was like, "You got to write." I was like, "No, I don't." Came on home. I was good. Went back the next year. Again, a lot of people that are part of the organization that I went with were writers. You got to write. About what? What do you want me to write about? Like, write about anything, but you got to write. So then I started thinking about the questions I got about my travels to Ghana,
Hmm.
about my travels to Africa. And said, well, let me start there. I said, because that is a place that I think that information I can share based on my little trips and I said, let me start small so I get kids thinking about it. I said, because that's where the miseducation starts. That's where the disconnect starts. And so it was just from that, and talking to people who were on the trip about self publishing or publishing,
Hmm. Hmm.
and how to find illustrators and editors. Um, and so I wrote the first book, Grace Goes to Ghana. And it does just that. It talks about a little girl's trip to Ghana to see her aunt Gifty. Um, And I think in less than 50 pages, I try to expose children to a little bit of the culture. So there's some, uh, you'll find out about the food, you'll find out about the language, you'll find out about some of the traditions, you'll find out
Mm-hmm.
about some of the places, you find out about some of the history. And so my goal in writing the book was, like I said, to give a quick introduction,
Mm-hmm.
but to get kids hooked. And the main goal is to have kids think about there's more to Africa, there's more to Ghana than just lions and tigers and safaris and grass and people not walking around in clothes that don't, fit, or half of something. Like they are doing the same thing and it looks just like it does in any other city that you go
Right.
to.
Right.
And starting to have that conversation. And so then the extension from the book is so that kids can then think about where they want to go and get
Mm.
inquisitive, start to inquire about travel and places and cultures. It doesn't have to be their culture, but other
Yeah.
cultures. Um, because the one thing about Baltimore, it is a small place
Mm-hmm.
compared to a lot of other cities. But even though it's small, people get used to their area. And so it's getting people, even in this area, to think outside of your community, to the next
Mm-hmm.
community, to the next city, to the next state, um, and just thinking outside of where you are and how you can learn and impact and grow from the knowledge you can get from other communities and other cultures and other places. So that's the,
Absolutely.
the background for the book, for the first book.
So not only did you write the book, you said, "Well, I'm gonna do this the right way," and you was like, "I'm gonna build me a whole organization to make sure that I'm just not a one-hit wonder." And so you started, and I always say it wrong,
Oh,
Kawaku.
so so I wrote the book, and my business degree from umpteen years ago was like, well, maybe you should have a little something to promote the book, so there's a separation. So I
Uh,
started an LLC to promote the book and to do speaking engagements and all, called Kawakoku. And so
Kawakoku.
the it is Twee for
Now say it
red.
again. Say it again. I want because I want to respect it because I know there's the story behind it. So but I always
That's okay. And yes, it's
Kawakoku.
Kawakoku.
Kawakoku. Okay.
And so what it stands for, it means red rain. And so the symbol for the company is an Adinkra symbol. And it's the symbol that has three circles, and it stands for
Mm-hmm.
leadership. And
Mm-hmm.
so there was some idea and thought behind it. And William always teases me about the name of the company, which is
Yeah.
fine. But
I,
um,
I just never can pronounce it, but like the
yeah,
especially because it's the funny part is, um, you introduced me to Adinkra symbols. And so especially that one is Adikra, the chief among all symbols. And so if you notice the Grinding Gang logo, like after you started telling me about them, I started looking them up. And the Grinding Gang logo is a set of Adinkra symbols which represent the spirit and the direction that I want the company to go in. And so like, and I don't even know if I told you that before, but like
no,
those conversations we had about the symbols and their meaning, because I thought, there's squiggly letters, so they don't look like real letters, because every other place I had been, letters do not look like that. That look like hieroglyphics or something. But as you explained to me, like, no, honey, it's okay. Like this is cultural. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And I started recognizing it was interesting because one of the things you talked about, like I've not had an opportunity to go to the continent, but through the conversations with people like you and listening to people like David, I feel a connection there. And like I was really considering it, but fear got in the way. When they were doing the repatriation thing in Ghana, I was like, oh, real quick, there's a story that I heard somewhere, and it touched me. This American woman a black woman was going to an African country for work, and they had a translator. And she said, "Hey, my name is Meshia Sutton. An African American woman from Baltimore, Maryland, blah blah blah." And so the translator said something, and then one of the women asked the question, and then he started saying a whole lot more. And all she said was, "Hi, my name is Meshia Sutton. I'm an African American woman from Baltimore." And they having a dialogue. And so she's like, what did they say? Like, because that was a lot of conversation. He said, well, they didn't know that there were Black people in America. And so I had to explain to them what an African American was. And he said, I told them that you were one of the stolen people. I was like, it hit differently because, like, I was kidnapped. And those types of conversations, the books and the symbols and that type of engagement, it reminds me that this American experience isn't my whole. It is a significant part, and it is sometimes defining, but it's not everything. I was thinking about getting some tattoos with like tribal symbols on my arms, like, hell yeah, rock it out.
Rock it out. Well, what's funny though is I did have that type of experience. So one of the times we went, we may have events where we would meet with the ambassadors, or we had one time we went and we were working with a book group, and so there was a woman there, and so she said, that it wasn't necessarily referring to us as the stolen people, but she was like, my culture, she's like, I can go back to the village where my family, my people started. She was like, and I recognize that you can, that there is a piece that instantly stops. And the closest maybe you can come is to the door of no return. But she was like, she's like, that connection to where I am and who I am hasn't been disrupted, like it has been for so many African Americans or people who were stolen from the continent and so that is a true statement, and it's a part of a conversation that
Right.
you have often with people. So yeah.
If you watch in our society, there are 2 points, to me at least, that I look at that give me the sense that I can't imagine how much was lost. So when you look at what happened in the 80s and 90s with crack, there was an entire generation that's lost. And what we don't pay attention to is, well, not just lost, but like we're disconnected because of the crack epidemic. And what we don't pay attention to is that part of the natural process is the lessons learned from parent to child. So if you don't have that type of exchange, if you don't have the kind of the elders of the village in a position to transfer that information, there is a gap. And I look at the differences between being raised in the 70s and being raised in the 2000s. And a lot of that has to do with that lost information. The next place is when you look at individuals who there is a loss of parental engagement in a generation. So you see a family that's doing really, really well, and then there's a child or a generation that, okay, what I've seen a lot of times is drugs. You see, even if the next generation is raised by to the grandparents, there is still a gap in the ability of that final generation to progress because they missed that. The grandparents are making up for the gap that their parent didn't provide. And that leaves us at, and so using that and just seeing, like, in my life that I can see what those implications were, I can't imagine being disconnected from everything you've known, some of these children, some of these men, and being illegal to pass it on. Like the talk about trauma, intergenerational genetic trauma. Sorry, I get worked up on the show because this
No,
is
it's
important.
real. It's real. And so to bring it all back, it goes back to me, to the reason why I feel the need to do things in the community to help build that sense of community, to support the community and give
Mm-hmm.
back. Because I have to work in the community that I have now. And so, and in doing that, I can only honor that by learning what I can and trying to share that with others. And I am not, by any means the most studious person or the best student, but I have
So
worked hard.
let me not do that. She and I have also worked on academic projects together, and I've edited some of her work. Don't let her humility fool you. She is damn good academically. So you know what? You did this to yourself. I wasn't even going to do it. Talk about your educational background, please. Go ahead, tell us that. Go ahead, tell us that. Go ahead, work it out for us. Tell us that. Say it again. Go ahead. Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
you did it to
you,
yourself.
you, you-
You notice I did not bring this up, but you did it. So I hope you're proud of yourself.
I did. So you want just the whole, you want the school and the
Oh yeah,
credentials.
go ahead. We about you. You better be lucky. I'm not going to jump on the other file and pull out your resume and put that on the screen for everybody. You keep playing around with me, that's where we're gonna end up. You know
Please
I
don't.
got it.
I know. I'm sure you do. So
Okay, you better be dope on
I
this
am
joint.
a lifelong student. However, again, like I said, there are a couple different types of educators. There are a couple different types of students. I continue to be in school and learn as a student at this point almost as a hobby, because I'm at the point where I'm like, when I get tired of it, I can stop. If I don't like it, I can stop. If it works on my nerves, I can stop. But as long as it doesn't do any of those things, I'll
I'm good.
continue. I'm good. So, and that's the way I've approached every degree that I've gotten after my bachelor's degree. So my
Mhm.
bachelor's degree is in business. I have an MBA.
Wait, business from where? We got shout out your school. Rep hard, rep
Oh,
hard.
right. So I have a bachelor's. I have a BS degree and an MBA from Frostburg State University.
Big ups to
I,
Frostburg, Western
yeah,
Maryland in the house.
yes. I have a master's degree in special education from John Hopkins University.
Big
I
up to
have
Johns Hopkins.
I have a educational certificate and a certificate in educational leadership from John Hopkins University.
There it is again. Go ahead,
There
keep
it is
going. Go ahead,
again.
go ahead. Go
And
ahead.
I am currently enrolled in Morgan State University in the doctoral program from urban educational leadership.
One of the things that you talked about earlier that your educational background highlights is that you focus more on your competence in your roles than you do on your passion. And there needs to always be a balance. Like I know that you love the kids, or at least you like them, but you focus more on the technical ability to serve them. And what I find, especially when I was working in education, you had some people who were just passionate, and what ended up happening is that they took that passion and ended up becoming enablers. Like they weren't challenging the students because they wanted to help them, make them feel good. They wanted to, because your life is so rough. I mean, it's so funny. I've seen you. Listen, okay, this is part of the 85%. This is okay. It's okay. This one's it. I've seen you, like when you hold people accountable, like you check people, like you like boom. And it's like, because that doesn't make sense. It's just very plain, very transparent, and you don't mince words. Like and one of the questions that I've had, and actually I don't know if I've asked you this before, because like wow, two decades and I forgot this one. Do you consider yourself fearless?
Oh no. No.
Really?
There's a constant level of fear in so much. Um
But you show up, but the way you show up, you are confident, you are secure, you have made decisions, and anybody that wants you to step back from them, you're like, I don't understand why you're stupid, because I already told you that this is what I'm going to do. But and so maybe it's how you show up like that. And for the rest of us, that's fearless. And the other thing I've seen, you ain't scared to say nothing to nobody. Is the truth. Like, okay, and consequence, not even, but it's weird because it's not even consequences be damned. It is, I understand the consequences and I've chosen. So
no,
so so like, where does the sense of self come from? Because I know a lot of us out here like, all right, can you please like me? What do you need me to do so that you can like me? What I'll do it. I'll give you your money. I'll work really hard for you, boss. Like I just want to. I just want you to like me. So like, how do you not fall into the trap of chasing
mm.
and being who you are? You are always you.
And I think in being always me, sometimes it's easier than others. I think that
Mm,
that sense, when it is a decision that I am secure in based on knowledge, I'm
okay.
good with it. If it is a decision that I am making based on um, sometimes that inner voice, I can be good with that. But
Hmm.
sometimes there's a sense of fear, but it I try not to let the fear rule or overrule common sense
Mm.
or judgment. I'm not
Okay.
perfect. I am not, and it does not work in all aspects of my life.
Okay.
But when I know I'm in a situation or I'm in a certain room or I'm at a table where my position is this, that, and the third, I'm going to hold true to my position. I'm going to
Okay.
represent what my position is. Um, and that can be anything. And again, like I said earlier, it doesn't mean that I have to be the leader. If I'm here and my role is support, that's beautiful. But I'm going to question as support. What you're telling me doesn't make sense. And since you want me to be able to pull this off, it's got to make sense for me in order for me to do it. Or I can
Mm.
step away. I'm good with that. Um, and I think part of it is too, I'm good with saying my boundaries up front sometimes. Yeah, I can
Okay.
always leave. I can always do something else um, in certain situations. So I think that that helps. Um, Having a good support system. So a
Mm.
good sense of I can put it out there to my girls and be like, and they'll be like,
You're what? You're what? You're what?
my girls,
Uh,
my home girls, my sisters,
I'm
my
sorry. So my Y chromosome is just going to disqualify me from being a person you could call. That's because
no,
we
it
can
does
have this
not. It
conversation.
does
We
not
can have this
disqualify
conversation. Okay. I get sensitive about stuff
ever.
like that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay.
No, it does not disqualify you. However,
Okay.
my first line of check is
Gotcha.
going to be
Okay.
to those who I know may have an experience, a life experience. And a life experience for me, first of all, is going to come as an African American
Well,
female.
woman.
So
Okay.
I'm going to go to an African American female for a life experience. There's certain things where I need all experiences, all, but my first and foremost, be like, does this? And they'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, Misha, don't even, oh yeah, go ahead, girl, I got you. Or where it is in between. Um, and we do that for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think having that circle of friends where you can get mad and somebody can step off and be like, yeah, I don't like this, and I'm gonna take some time and I'll talk to y'all a little later. And no love is lost, no
Mm-hmm.
feelings are hurt to the point where it's detrimental, and there's no backstabbing. It's you went a little far. Did you talk to her yet? No, she needs a couple more days. Um, and you come back and it's like, okay, who's cooking dinner? Who's doing
That's
what?
it.
Like you still have that sister circle, um, and that's real, and knowing your position in that circle is real
Mm-hmm.
because that's authentic. Everybody doesn't have the same role, doesn't bring the same experiences, um, and so when you have a circle that's diverse, so that
Mm-hmm.
everybody respects and honors what people bring, it makes it easier to get a good sense of who you are and what you need and getting a good voice of reason and a sounding board, and that helps.
Yeah, absolutely right. The tribe is incredibly important. When you have a squad, it makes all the difference, especially
Mhm.
in times like this. Um, we have the world falling apart by and large. All of the institutions that we used to look toward for support and guidance and things like that, they're crumbling right before us. And what it has led to is a level of community engagement, and especially in the Black community, having to turn and rely on some of the community based organizations that really provide for our lives. Let's be honest, because a lot of the government institutions are not really there for us in the way that we need them to be. So I know you have served like faithfully for like a while with an organization called the Agape House Ministries. Tell us a little bit about that and how that program works.
Yes, and so I worked with Agape House for a number of years, and so it's funny you talk about like the 6 degrees of separation. So I came across the Agape House as part of my work with the Young Professionals, GBLA, which was the Young
Mm-hmm.
Professionals Urban League, um, and so I ended up continuing my work with the Agape House for many years. Um, because that seemed like it was a good fit for me to provide service. And so I worked with them, and then I was asked to be on the board for a few years and continued to work with them. And we provided support to the community
Mm-hmm.
um, through a couple of different avenues. There was a ministry they did, and they do work with youth. Um, they had a ministry, a service that they provided for women, for new mothers. They
Absolutely. Yeah,
had
that was big.
they had a catering, so it was an organization that had a way of generating money, and so
Hmm.
that helps because that could make them choosy about the money and supports that they got from outside organizations and agencies. Um,
Right.
and so it was an interesting model because a lot of times when you have nonprofits, because it's a nonprofit, that funding source and the things you do for that funding source, um, are can be a lot, can be overwhelming, can be all consuming. But because that was not an issue, um, even though it was a small organization, was able to provide supports in a consistent way. So
Absolutely.
so that made it a very powerful organization in the community. Um,
Yes.
and so that was another point of service for me for many years. And will always have the organization will always have a place in my heart for the community and just the connections and what we were able to do and what we try to do. Nothing's perfect, but the attempts were there, and it was a good time to work and to give back.
It was, and one of the things that I appreciated about the way that you all operated the Agape House, and big shout out to Reverend Robinson posthumously, um, was the fact that it was the focus on kind of the self determination. It was like all the Kwanzaa rolled up into one. It was about everybody working together, and it was all of those principles were adhered to. But Reverend Robinson had the foresight to understand that if you don't control your own purse strings, you will always be controlled.
Hmm.
And the amount of investment and the partnership that he did, and you guys really integrated, like really, and some of the kids I saw, like, working with the organization over the course of years, to watch this little scrawny kid carrying plates and stuff like that. And then one day you show up at an event and you see this kid with a black vest on. Hey, you guys move that over there. I'm like, you're the little girl from before who was like carrying a plate, but now you are the team leader. And it wasn't just like the little girl grew up to do that, but like you could tell she had the skills to do it. She knew she had been trained
Hmm.
and knew what she was doing, and more so, you could tell that she knew what she was doing in a supportive environment,
Right.
and that made all of the difference, at least to me. And it was like, wow, like changing lives, doing business stuff in the community with your bad self.
Yeah, it was about nurturing, and it was not about the one thing that I liked. It wasn't about changing. So we weren't changing somebody's conditions necessarily. We weren't changing their lives. We weren't changing their expectations. We were, providing them with the resources that they needed or they could use to then continue on. And so when you see the people growing and the kids as they grew up, and we were there for a while, so we saw kids grow up. We saw kids
Yeah.
grow up, become adults, and have their own kids. Um,
Isn't that
and
weird right
having
now
those
though? Isn't that weird? Like, wait, I knew how you got a whole kid.
a whole kid, and it wasn't like you had them early. I mean, they have a whole family. They have and so but they got as a foundation they could take, and so
Right.
that was the mindset. It wasn't again this wasn't about being a savior. This was not about saving. It was about providing supports. Um, so yeah, so it was good.
Oh, actually, we do have a question from
Okay.
Brandy. She said, "What do you suggest when your tribe is just you and male chromosomes? Because you talked about having a lot of girlfriends in your tribe, but what if you don't have girlfriends in your tribe?"
And so you know what though, but if you don't have girlfriends in your tribe, that's fine. You need to make sure that you have a variety of voices, and that
Mm,
those voices are going to be truthful to you,
hmm. Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and call you out when you need to be called out, even when you don't want to hear it, because that's
Especially when
the
you don't want to
idea of
hear
the
you.
tribe. The tribe is there for you to help you grow
Mm.
and navigate through life. And if everything the tribe does is just telling you yes, and that's not supporting you. Um, So the tribe is really about how can make sure you have those voices. So I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine who owns several businesses, and he and I were talking one day, and he was saying, what he has done in his life, he realizes that a lot of the people that he grew up with haven't done. So
Mhm,
he provided opportunities, and he tries to provide times to to share what he has,
mhm,
and he tries to do it in a way where he's not condescending. He tries to do it in a way where it's not looking down on. He's like, look, I have this. This is what I need. We can work together on that. It doesn't always work out, and so he realized that although those members were in his tribe, he still needed
mhm,
to have some other members that he needed to bring in, so he had some different voices. Because while he's trying to help these members of his tribe,
mhm.
he needed some help himself, and
Himself, right?
realized that, and it's not putting anybody down. They just weren't in a place that they could provide him what he needed, so he had to expand his tribe and look to add other members to it. So I say, know your
Yeah,
tribe, know who's there, but then be able to say, I need somebody, I need another voice that can do this. And
right.
that comes from, experiences, finding things that you like. um, I got
It's an it's an
into,
it's an experiment.
it's an
It's like your
experiment.
tribe doesn't
You make it,
the
yeah.
tribe doesn't come and like just add water, instant tribe. There are going to be a lot of misses. I mean, yeah, hell, our tribe has changed dramatically over the years. There were parts of it that used to be kind of the nucleus that like are no longer even connected in a meaningful way. And so that's part of it. The people who are in your tribe, they may evolve. But this idea, I think sometimes we get locked on the permanence of a tribe member. It's like, and in my experience has been that tends to become from more of a place of fear of loss than it is really that this is my tribe. It's like I want to hold on to this because I don't know when another car is going to come by. I'm gonna just take a ride with you because I don't know when the next car is coming down Route 66 and there's no rest stops lately. As opposed to like, you know what? I'm only getting in cars that aren't sketchy. Like and sometimes the circumstances require us to get into sketchy cars. Because if there's a
But do they?
rattlesnake on route, it said sometimes the situation requires us to get in sketchy cars, but recognize when you get in that it's a sketchy car. There are some people like there's sometimes where your support system is what you have at the time, not even what you want. And don't try, my experience or my recommendation is not trying to make something that's not what it should be it. It's like if it's a sketchy, if this relationship is sketchy, it's not a boo thing. Like it's like we're gonna get no, it's sketchy. If this business decision is sketchy, it's yes, I'm gonna be a million. It's sketchy. Like level set your expectations for what it actually is and recognize that it may change.
I think it's that change piece that is going to be important. Um, but I think I go back to, for the tribe, it's being honest and truthful about who you surround yourself with. Um,
Yeah.
and like I said, everybody has a role, and recognizing your role in that tribe as well. Because if you are in that tribe, if you're the matriarch, then realize that every voice you have is going to have a masculine tone, which is fine. But if you need some feminine energy, then it may be, at the hairdresser. It may be someplace else. Like, it may be just in different places,
Mhm.
which is fine. But just being honest about the energy that you need to get, and if that energy works, and that's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. I just know for
Well, no.
me, I just need, because I don't, my background. I'm an only child, small family, so I enjoy that sisterly energy that I don't get other places.
Mhm, mhm. Cool. Man, listen, this has been an awesome little kick at it with my friend. That's the great part about my job. I get to hang out with my friends for work. It's like, hey, you want to come over and talk to me in front of people? Let's do that. I love it.
Let's see that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you got to meet one of my dope friends today, Meshia Sutton. Meshia, tell them how they can cop a copy of Grace Goes to Ghana. And I know we didn't talk about the symbolism book, but how can they get in contact with you?
So yeah, so the easiest way, there is a website, is Kawakoku. It's really simple to spell. KOKOO.com.
Wait. Let me type it. K-O.
KOO
K-O-O. Mhm.
.com. Grace Goes to Ghana is on Amazon. So, look, you're not
Wait. How do
real.
you spell that again? I apologize. How do you spell that again? Because this doesn't
K
look right.
O
K-O,
K-O-O.
K-O-O. That's it?
Look, now you're messing me up. Am I spelling my own name
I was like, this seems like
backwards?
there should be another letter in there.
Backwards. Like only William Honeyblue could have me spelling my own something backwards. Like, Lord Jesus, what am I doing wrong here? Something wrong
I
with my
apologize
life.
because because I'm trying not to have no problems. I don't want no smoke, yo.
You were too funny. I can't even remember. So let me go this way.
It's okay. I got it. I got you. I'm gonna
Yeah,
take care of
thank
it.
you.
'Cause
But the
I'm
company
gonna take
is
care of
on
that.
the book is on Amazon. There are
Mm-hmm.
so the Grace Goes to Ghana is the children's book. It is for grades 3 through 5. There is a
Mm-hmm.
Grace in Ghana, which is the same story. It's a coloring book. It's for younger
Mm-hmm.
readers. Um, and so that is available. And then the book, like William was saying, called Symbols, is the next book to Grace Goes to Ghana. And so what Symbols does is it really looks at the um, idea of symbols as a cultural component. And so
Mm-hmm.
it gets into like a Dinkra symbols, but it looks at things like letters are symbols, numbers are
Yes.
symbols,
Yes.
um, drawings are symbols. And so we look at Western and non-Western cultural symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And again, something else for kids to think about. And I really got into symbols as a kid, as a young person taking art history classes. So
Mm.
it's just an extension of that, and just another way of looking at ways that we communicate.
I love it. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, you had an opportunity to talk to one of my dope friends, Meshia Sutton. That is our time for today. Say bye, Meshia. Tell the people bye.
Bye, everybody. It was wonderful. Thank you, William. Love you.
No problem. And don't front like you're not gonna be here again. I'm just letting you know in advance.
Okay,
Okay.
that'll work.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Again, we have had another dope and dynamic show, and y'all got to meet one of my other dope friends. Yeah, we've had a great time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow when we talk to Ashley Tate. Have a great one.